welcome back. I hope you guys enjoyed your lunch and some sun and some fresh air. Yes? Lovely. Okay, before we get on to our next panel discussion, I would like to call out a leadership award that didn't get given. So can I please call upon stage Mr. Sami Najami to receive his Leadership Excellence Award from CXO 2.0 Conference. Now, Mr. Najami serves as the Vice President of Sami Najami, a premier one-stop shop for steel projects. All right, moving on to our next session. Now, have you guys wondered or pondered what corporate leadership might look like with some precision and discipline of military strategies? That's so interesting, eh? Now, our next topic is chain of command. Chain of command, applying military leadership principles in the corporate world. Can I please call on stage our panelists? Ahmed Khan, Head of Marketing and Strategy Advisor from Next Generation Corporate Services. Mr. Pranil Nandekar, Partner at Recreate HR Solution. Glenn Thomas, Chief Commercial Officer at 7CI Technologies. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nashpreet, for the introductions. I did promise her that it would be very interesting when I was listening to a conversation that she was had, and I shouldn't have been listening into, but it's an old military habit. As mentioned, my name is Glenn Thomas. I won't do a full intro yet, but our topic today is chain of command, how we can apply military leadership principles into the corporate world. And I think you will find it rather interesting. We're going to make it even more interesting, hopefully, by not just sitting down, because I think we're all walkers when we talk, and so we'll go around and stroll along the stage. I'll ask Pranil and then Ahmed to introduce themselves, and then I'll come back to me and start on the topic. Pranil.
Hello. Yeah, hi. Good afternoon. We are as lazy as you guys can feel after the lunch. So thank you so much for being here and giving us this opportunity to speak, share our experience on this beautiful topic. And this is really close to our hearts. We feel that military practices in corporate lives are difficult, but not as much as we think. We need to start with somewhere. So I am sure that my fellow colleagues here are going to share a lot of good stuff on this topic. But I'll be sharing some more practical experiences.
Could you just introduce yourself first, and then we'll come back?
But we do have some proof of concepts that we have started. And yeah, just to give you an idea that I've completed my 128th day today, following these practices. So I'm going to share that perspective as well. In this meanwhile, we can have Ahmed sir, who's going to speak to you about his experiences, and then we can have a good Q&As together, and let's have the interactive sessions on this topic. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Ahmed, could you introduce yourself and give some background on you as well?
So good afternoon, everybody. I hope you guys had a good lunch. My name is Ahmed. What I do is I create market entry strategies, and I help our clients with marketing. and introducing their brands effectively into the UAE market. We help them set up and go through the process of getting licensed, having the correct visas and open bank accounts. And whilst we are helping our clients doing that, we're helping them with defining their operational guidelines, advising them on the regulatory requirements. So when this topic came to me, I thought, you know what, we need to try this, because we work with so many different organizations and so many different types of leadership styles, especially when you're in Dubai. It's such a dynamic place. We have people and business owners from more than 200 countries, all being entrepreneurial. That's the vibe of the city of Dubai. Once you come here, you land here, you gotta be part of this fabric, and you have to be part of this beautiful city. So I think we'll let Glenn, command the panel, and we'll follow as lieutenants.
And that's not because I'm a greybeard. So hi, my name is Glenn Thomas. I'm Australian, and that means I have two impediments. One, I have a strong accent, and two, I talk really fast, so I am trying very hard not to. I have lived here in the region, Dubai and Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, for the last 8 years. I am a career expat, which means I grew up overseas and have only lived in my home country through various aspects or parts of my career. As a bit of background, I have worked in government and private enterprise. I've had 4 of my own companies, be that in the professional services area. I actually started the very first outsourced company in Australia for security vetting and co-wrote the Australian New Zealand standards for employment screening. I've also had 2 tech companies, one in data mining and text mining, and the other in biometrics, in facial recognition and other biometrics into the financial sector, where we used a lot of AI and machine learning as well. My current role is the Chief Commercial Officer at 7CI, where I help our company build and understand our market strategies and our products and services. But you might ask, how does that qualify me to talk on this subject of military leadership principles in the corporate world? Well, I'm lucky enough to come from a multi-generational military family. And by that I mean, as far back as I can remember, there has been at least 1 to 2 to 3 people from any part of my family in one of the services in the military. And that includes me. I spent 13 years in the Australian Army. I was mainly in the satellites and technology electrician and technician. I then was teaching junior leaders, and prior to leaving the Defence Forces, I was a geopolitical threat risk analyst. My focus now, and has been for a long time, is in information security, threat intelligence, risk, and leadership. I'm also an executive coach, which is something I really, really enjoy. You might see me walking around with this as well. And one of the things that I always learnt, or we had a saying in the military, is that there are 6 Ps for life. In fact, there are 7, but I won't tell you what the 7th is. And they are prior, preparation, and planning prevents poor performance. And I have people watching on the video at the moment, and I think they were very anxious. I might have said the 7th one as well, but I didn't. But what are the military principles? In today's world where we talk about data-driven decisions and research, if you go on to Dr. Google or Google and search military principles, it will come up with anything from 3 to 19 that I found, and everything in between of what military principles are. But to me, I think they boil down to 3. And I'll list what those are, and then I'll come back a little bit, and then we can talk about it too, of what they actually mean in a corporate perspective, and if anyone has ever read the 5 a.m. Club, they have a flow, all right? And flow is really important. So to me, in my humble opinion, the 3 principles are mission, being mission focused, having a decentralized command structure, and have disciplined initiatives. So let's boil that down a little bit. Mission focus. What is a mission focus in a corporate perspective? Well, that's our strategy, all right? And in both the military and a corporate area, we have to decide and have a very clear understanding of what our mission, our strategy is. And that needs to be very well communicated and simplistic enough, if I can use that word, for everybody within the organisation to understand it. All right? I think the very first session this morning, someone was talking about prototyping their decision-making processes. If I reflect back to my time in the military, whenever we talked about a new mission, everybody involved in that mission would then practice it ad nauseum to know what everybody had to do and knew what everybody else was doing. So there was a dependency, but also some redundancy in what was going on there. And the same thing applies when we as a business are developing a strategy. We need to ensure our strategy is clear, it's concise, it's unambiguous, and it's understood, and it's communicated. And it's communicated regularly so that everybody within our organisation has absolutely no misunderstanding of what needs to be done. This always, I think, maybe gets a bit of a laugh when I say decentralised command. When anyone thinks of the military, would you ever think that it will be a decentralised command structure? No, right? You think of a military organisation and there's someone up there with a big hat, lots of little brass and fruit salad on their breast pocket, and they're giving the orders. Well, actually, it's completely different to that. If you consider, if I can take you an example, and I always tell stories, so I apologise in advance. If I take it back to an army perspective, as I can, when a mission or a strategy has been given, there are various entities, subunits within that whole complex organisation that needs to make decisions, or they need to be able to execute on that strategy. So we have people that are commanding 1, 2, or just themselves, people that are able to fully execute and make a decision on what they need to do based on what they've been told. And then it goes up to the next person who's controlling 15 or 20 people, or a platoon as we call it. And that goes up to the next level and next level and next level. So there could be as many as 5 to 6 stratas of people making a decision. All right? Let's reflect what that looks like in the corporate world. Well, we've got the team leaders, we've got managers, we've got directors, we've got partners, we've got VPs, SVPs, and every acronym under the sun, but everybody should be able to have the ability to make those decisions. And the third point there is disciplined initiatives. And one of the things I'm really big on this is extreme ownership, all right? And that, if you encourage people to have the extreme ownership of what the actions that they have been given, and then they can take their own initiatives within the framework of your strategy, then that is a very similar approach to what we do in the military, what has been done in the military as well. So there's quite a lot of synergies in how I was able to implement the missions and strategies, not only in the military world, but now in my corporate life. And I've been lucky enough to be able to do that globally. And I have had very low turnover of my teams, and they generally follow me when I go from one place to another. But one of the best things I've ever had done is be able to help people transition from the military world to the corporate world. And that's hard, because it comes from an authoritative approach to doing it to a collaborative approach. But, you know, if I think back, a lot of my peers, they're either partners or owners of global businesses or in consulting firms. Before I hand over, there's one other point I want to talk about, and that's EQ. And I'll touch base on it at the end, but I think that's an amazing and a very, very important part of applying military principles into the corporate world. And if you don't think it works, there are a number of different examples, and I could talk to you about those, but one that we all know is Amazon. So Jeff Bezos applied these principles to Amazon's mission, which was customer satisfaction, and allowed his people all the way through the business to be able to make initiatives, to be disciplined and make their own initiatives and decisions within the framework of that mission structure. Pranil, you want to add to that, mate? Put your point of view on there as well?
Yes, for sure. So, before that, sir, if you want, you can change the seat. No problem. Thank you so much, Glenn. I think everybody here in this room and who's maybe watching online understand the difference between a manager and a leader, right? So I'm not going to speak only about the principles or maybe how to become a leader, but I'm going to show you something. Yeah, I'm going to show you something. Thank you. So leadership for me, or maybe anything, starts from a feeling that you should feel as a leader, you should feel as a team member, you should feel someone who's standing on the border protecting your country. So after having all these narratives in my mind, I have been able to align my subconscious and conscious mind the last year, and my company was actually failing, to be honest. We have reached to that level where we had to shut down our operations because of many reasons. But then I've decided that this is not something I want in my life. This is not something that my maybe job seekers or maybe the clients are looking up to us for. So yeah, I'm into a recruitment consultancy for last 6 years in India. We have done a lot of recruitments in IT, non-IT space. Having said that, the last year I've decided to bring change. Okay, and I guess leadership has a lot of things to do with the discipline only, right? When you decide to organize yourself, when you decide to start something from scratch, you have to change your narratives, your stubbornness, your ego, and you'll have to maybe channelize that in a right way. So last year, yes, I have focused on my health first, okay, and then I have slowly, rebuilding my organization from scratch, from 0 to 1, 1 to 2, and this is how now I have reached to the team of 15 people in just 1.5 months. But how did I do that? Okay, so I'm going to show you few simple things and the way we are using social media for our company, and also for maybe improvising practices. And I guess in earlier panel discussion, some lady said that she is very keen to understand how technology is meeting the people's practices, right? So maybe this is a small exercise that we have started doing it. So I'll just share some, with your permission, I'll share some of the screenshots of our Instagram account. So can we have Ryan, Faizan? Could you please just turn on the slide? Yeah. So I don't know if you are able to see here or not, but if you can see the number 119, and there are a lot of numbers. So these are the days I've completed, okay. So this is, as I said earlier, my 128th day I've completed in this practice, okay. So as a principles from military leadership, I start my day at 3:30, and a lot of stuff I do. So I regularly post on social media just because creating a pressure on myself to become consistent, because consistency is something that everybody on this planet lacks. And so I wanted to do something extra. So I've taken up the challenge for myself that I'm going to compete only with myself, and it's a 365 days war, okay. So there is one more link you can see. I have created another account, okay, where I'm putting not only my activities, but the people who are following me in this trend. I haven't asked anyone to follow me, okay. I never do that because I feel that if I'm able to replicate my vision to the people, they will start following this journey, okay, and they will do this. So can you please just, Faizan, can you please show me the next slide, the next one. So these are all my pages, okay. Yeah, so this one, okay. This page I've started in the last month, okay, where there are many followings, and this all people are now following exactly my footsteps, okay. These are not in my team, okay. I'm going to tell you in a one or 2 minutes that how this activities, okay, I have turned in a right way for my team, okay. So could you please go to the next one, Faizan? The next one, yeah, this is my habit of reading. Yesterday, there was an angel investor who shared an example of Peter Thiel. His book name is 0 to 1, which I am reading right now. So these are my fellow colleagues, like from friends or maybe the followers. He has completed day 82, okay. And the next one is, could you please go to the next one, Faizan? Yeah. This is the last one? Okay, fine, no problem. So the next one who has completed day 103, and I have completed 120. Okay, so I'm going to continue this habit for next 365 days. Now, you can stop sharing this. Faizan, Ryan, you can stop sharing this. It's okay. So having said that, now I wanted this practice to come in my own organization. And as I said, I guess to the lady, I guess from Ahmed sir's team, that I can be strict to myself, I cannot be strict to my team, right? I cannot tell them to wake up at 3:30 and start their day. I have to be soft. I had to maybe form that habit to maybe command them in a right way and make them understand the importance of this company's vision and how they can do this. So all this journey, which I'm doing, all the workouts and everything, obviously I'm trying to become better. If I can lead myself, then I'll be able to lead my team and maybe my people to become better, right? So it will start from that feeling, and it has to be in your actions consistently. Talking about collaboration of such practices in my team, I really wanted my team to, start narrating their thoughts, because we are living in this world where the technology is evolving very fast. There are AI, there are bots, there are n number of things which are coming into the pictures. I told a very simple habit to my team that you guys will be starting your day, narrating your own thoughts in 2 lines. You guys can do a copy paste, that is okay. But think on it, think over it again and again, right? So they have started sharing this, mentioning the number of day they are working for, okay? And I've kept it on a purpose that we'll start our morning call at 9:05, not at 9, okay? So first 5 minutes they are going to think, they are going to write their thoughts, they are going to share it on a Snapchat. They are not going to share it on a WhatsApp, they are not going to share it on a emails, because that has to be a fun-loving activity, right? So this is how we have started, and now my team size is 15. All 15 people are sharing their thoughts every day. And these are maybe some smaller practices I've done to better my company. Maybe Ahmed would be the right person to highlight on this, that how to make it more better. Thank you. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, Glenn. Thank you, Pranil. See, my take is very different. I come from a country called Pakistan. Half of our existence has been under military rule. Nothing wrong with it. Countries can be ruled by militaries, and they do a very good job. I grew up in one of those times when there was apparently what they call as dictatorship. I really enjoyed it. That was the best economic time I saw in my country. But can I apply those same principles in my company? To some extent, yes. I think discipline, there is no argument about that. We need discipline in organizations. And a lot of organizations fail because there is lack of discipline and lack of disciplined people, especially the leadership. I mean, if you are a leader and you are coming to the office at 11 a.m. and you expect your team not to sneak in at 9 just because you have a fingerprinting, finger scanning biometric system, it's not going to work. You'll need to be there the first thing in the morning. You'll be the last one to leave, and you'll have to put in double the amount of work that the best performer is doing. However, when you put in strict military leadership principles where you are penalized, you lose the human factor. We need to allow our teams to make mistakes, especially if you are living in today's environment where creativity is of essence, where people are super creative in what they're doing. They are building things that we've never seen before, applications, prototypes, the way we are living our lives. I mean, if military leadership principles were in the corporate world, our lives may not have transformed to this degree that we are in today. I mean, today in Dubai, Pranil, probably you might know, Glenn would know, that we don't normally go to the fuel stations to get petrol in our cars. We have the fuel station come to our cars and fill in our petrol. So we have apps for that. And that's happened because people were able to explore talents in different parts of the world who could have brought in great ideas, and they could execute it without having to follow particular guidelines. I personally believe in breaking free and empowering people to the extent that they make mistakes, and they know that those mistakes may cost the company a few thousand or a few hundred and thousands of dollars, which they can afford, but they'll eventually come up with something that will be great. They'll pay off the risk. In the UAE, when you have so many different people, so many different nationalities working with their resources based inside the country and remotely. So I know personally most of our clients, they have resources offshore, especially in the tech sector, especially those which are customer driven, and they have a huge requirements for call centers. They outsource all of that work. They have discipline in timing, but they allow people to be people, because they're not talking to the same person. We're not all programmed well. We don't like the same food, right? So if you imply too much of discipline, too much of rigorous, too much of processes, it's going to impact the company. And we've seen failures. I've seen a failure during COVID. I had one company that had to shut down because there was no discipline, and we were not ready. But in the tech sector, we grew. We had technology that people needed, and it worked. And that was because we are not organized. That disorganization, that haphazardness allowed us to find opportunities where people wouldn't see, right? So I think going back, I probably won't have my own personal examples because I have a staff member sitting here who would think I'm lying. But I do allow people to have mistakes, have breakdowns, call me up at 9 a.m. I can't make it. Okay, fine, come at 10, come at 11, but come, show up, sit till late, no problem. you can spend some extra 2 hours, but allow people, allow your team to be human, allow them to break down. I know in military, I don't know how many times did you get to cry your heart out. You might have obviously a bit of fist battles, which we can't allow in corporate world to let the lads fight it out. But you have that. I was attending one of the other sessions, and there was a lot of talk about mental health. How much pressure is too much pressure for people, and you can't determine that, because there is a history of health, a history of issues, of lifestyle changes and everything that has impacted an individual. And when that individual comes into the corporate world right in front of you under your leadership, are you going to use the same principles that you're applying on everybody else? I wouldn't agree. I take people as people. I love their journeys, and I let them to be humans, because happy people, you allow them to be happy and you allow them to be sad, and once that sadness has come out, there's only happiness left. So once you have a happy team, it's going to outperform any team in the world. So that's my 2 cents. I think we should open up for questions and discussions.
Yeah, just before we do, and I just wanted to pull on a string there that you mentioned, and I think that's a very important part. about allowing your people to be able to have the confidence to make decisions even when they fail. All right, that's about accountability. And if you have really extreme ownership and the ability for people to make decisions without fear, within the confines of the framework, of course, then you're going to get more buy-in and you are going to get more accountability in an organisation. So we're going to open up, we've got about 9 minutes left, we're going to open up to some questions. I see a young gentleman there walking up to the microphone. Please, sir.
So in the military, you start out with the privates, and then they move up in the ranks, and people diversify into various talents, and then as things progress, as their careers progress, you can pick and choose the people, you pick and choose your team. But in business, it's a little different. You have to hire from the pool of people around you. And I wondered what your military approach is to hiring people, good people, because a company's only as good as its people.
Yeah, sure. Always a hard one, right? And it's when you hire anybody, whether you're first starting a business or it's an iterative approach to doing it, and you're learning as well. I heard someone talking today about how they use data to decide whether someone's going to stay within the business or stay within marketing or what have you. I thought that was an interesting concept, because I think there's a little bit more on that, even though I am a very big techno head and love data and AI. There are a number of different ways. To me, I think, like, I work a lot in the cyber area. And everyone tells me there are 3 million cybersecurity jobs out there with a shortfall, maybe even more. I don't think that's the case. I just think we're looking in the wrong place. Because anybody with a critical mind, no matter what their background, might be preferable they're in IT, is able to work in a cybersecurity area. So when I'm recruiting, I look for people who actually have a desire to learn and to be coached, and to not be scared of getting out there and putting themselves out there, and to have continuous learning. Your example about we can pick and choose various people when we go through the different ranks, I mean, that is a very competitive process as well. And there's a lot of training involved in that, continuous training, and the ability to show and step forward to show what you can offer to an organisation to make it better. So I apply those same principles within the business and the corporate world of when I'm looking for people either to headhunt into the organisation or even to bring in at the very junior level. They've got to want to have that commitment, but it's not something you get straight away. It's a learned and it's experienced and it's a nurtured approach to bringing somebody up through the business. But it's not always going to work. In everything, you make mistakes. And you learn and you move on from that as well. Hope that answered your question.
I'll just add on one thing here in the next 30 seconds, because I can see your time ticking. So, sir, I respect your question, and I'm also dealing into a people's problem. I'm into HR consultancy only. So we have this practice of having our team hired, and again, for the clients as well. So when things come, we all speak brighter side of the leadership, but just consider a situation that you are at a war front, you are leading your soldiers there is a enemy gunning at you, and some of your team members are wounded, right? You have only one option there, that you have to send them back. So I don't know why, but on LinkedIn or maybe on other platforms, I see everywhere that people only talk good about a leadership. But a true leader has to make a call of saying no. If you understand that after evolving the coaching side to the team members and giving all the opportunities, if it is required to maybe ask that particular person or maybe a team member to step down, a leader has to make a decision on that as well. It is a darker side of the leadership, I would say, but as a leader of your own organization, I guess this is also something we should start practicing for. We do that. Honestly, I guess I don't think a lot of business owners are not doing it. We understand the practicality, right? But we don't speak here. We speak only the good part of the leadership. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Right?
Yeah.
Do you have something to add before we go to the next question? Or?
Yeah. So, Ahmed sir will answer the next
No,
question.
I think, Glenn,
Thank you.
you've
Okay.
clarified my point. I was there. Next question. Sir.
Okay, Glenn. First, my apologies about that conversation earlier, because I think you made valid points. What struck me was your relation to the mission, because that's something that I strongly believe in. But then you said something about disciplining, and I want to grab that point a little bit better. I'm against discipline, in fact. I like chaos.
Against what, sorry?
Discipline.
Yep, okay.
Discipline. I like chaos. But I'm also very much attached to commitment of people. And I feel that commitment is a voluntary choice, whereas discipline is more enforced. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yeah, sure. I love chaos as well. Someone asked me when I asked the question on day one whether I lived on this side of the risk plane or the comfortable, and I live on the uncomfortable side of the risk plane. And there's also a really good tool out there, it's the chaos engine I love as well. So what was the question again? The commitment versus chaos, discipline versus chaos, right? And I think you need to have discipline to have chaos. It's like having an agile approach to doing things. If you're disciplined enough to understand when you need to change in an agile environment, then you can have that version of chaos. I've had a number of different startups and at the beginning, everybody is in chaos. Everyone's wearing 5 hats, and depending on what time of the day it is, your hat turns around and what your role needs to be. But to have a high degree of chaos, you need to, I think, have people that are disciplined enough to recognize when things are going right and not right, and then to be able to pivot to doing that. And I had a very similar conversation just recently about implementing processes. Processes to be implemented for the sake of a process will kill a business, especially a startup. And so you have to be very cognizant of the amount of control that you're putting in there. But discipline, I think, gives people the ability to make a decision and fail at that decision as well, because it gives them accountability, even in a chaotic type of scenario. So, guys.
I completely agree with you. Discipline or chaos, I let the chaos happen. Within chaos, some beautiful stories erupt, and those stories define us, define the environment that we are living in. And I'd like to add one more point. See, when taking too much influence from an organization such as the military complex, we don't have the resources as organizations that are available to military complexes. So their processes, their ways of operations are defined based on the resources that they have access to and they can get access to. Number one being funding. Small organizations that are growing big, they don't grow big on any military principles except for discipline, maybe one of them, which has a lot of bullet points down where you can say your timing and your punctuality and your probably a little bit of dress code, but now that is all erased. We have organizations like Google that are employing millions of people through across the world without any time punctuality, giving them the office environment of the future. There is no discipline over there, but they're thriving, they're growing, they're giving us the best products that we can possibly imagine. That goes for all tech companies. I can list a lot of examples that are moving away from this. And each leadership, if you are in a position of leadership, you need to define your own principles that will work best for you. You have the liberty to and the freedom to have your own principles, that the way you want to want things that you want to see the things to work out with. That's my.
We've nice sign down there saying time's up. Press delete to reset. So we're about to be put Control Alt Delete to our team. So thank you very much for your questions. But before we do go, I might just ask the team to wrap up. Ahmed, do you want to give your last points, wrap up on the principles, etc.?
Yeah, I guess I probably ended up on my last statement. But I'm open to discussion even after this panel has ended and anybody wants to have a discussion. And I am based here in Dubai, so if anybody wants to come over for coffee as well, we can take the discussion even further. Probably in these discussions we'll come to agree or disagree or agree to disagree on things. But my personal opinion and based on my professional experience is that strictness does not work. Human elements, emotional intelligence that needs to be inculcated in your leadership principles. You need to allow people to break down. A lot of people are going through a lot of things in this world. Wars is just one of them. There are family problems, financial situations, and different healthcare issues. So my also humble opinion, as you all leaders are here, speak to your team, speak to people around you, speak to the janitor. I don't know, a lot of people don't even do that. They don't even say hi to people who don't matter apparently. It's not all that you're gonna walk through a line and you'll have the boots slapping for you and you'll get a salute. This is not the corporate world should be. It has to be, should not distinguish between a small junior analyst to the CEO. It has to be as simple as that. We should be all kind of equal in our appearance, in our behavior towards others, and that's my take.
Thanks.
I'll wrap up in 3 sentences, which I practice every day. So first one is, yes, cherish imperfections. Second one is practice excellence. And third one is align your commitment as a discipline. I guess it will change your world.
Surprisingly enough, I have more than 3 sentences. I just want to add one more point to your question, though, before I do. All the way through my time in the military, I was a rebel without a clue, and I railed against authority in a respectful way. And I was able to manage to work my way up to sort of managing 400 people with that attitude of chaos but discipline. But my last points I'd like to leave is establishing a clear strategy and communicate that strategy. Delegate the decision-making process and give the people that you delegate that to the confidence to make those decisions and fail and win within a good safety net. Encourage that disciplined initiative. Create a culture of accountability, massive on extreme ownership of what you as a leader or as a person within the organisation need to achieve, and take ownership of that all the way through without blaming somebody else. And teamwork, building a really good culture. Last thing I want to leave you with is leadership. Leadership requires action. More often than not, firstly done by the leader themselves. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you, team, as well. Thank you.